Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Trophies have turned to rust. People have let me down. Who can I trust? I found earth's riches, but I lost my own worth. When I hit rock bottom, to whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall and reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you. My trust, I found heaven's riches when you told me my word. You alone give words of life. To whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus. This life is a vapor, just a breath away. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we all return to clay. Let my life be a drink offering. Hold me out any way that you please. Without you, Jesus, it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus.
Hi, everybody. So glad that you're with us today. Whew, at the last minute, I dropped something, was on the ground trying to pick it up under my desk. Okay, so glad that you're with us today. Lieutenant Mark Taylor is with us today. I do want to let you know that after today, I will not be back until Friday. We are still dealing with the distribution center for Godly Granny. It's coming along wonderfully, but it's a lot of work. And I'm having dental work. So you remember I told you I had the cone beam scan done. And so I'm having to go in and remove a couple of things that's going on. And so this is just stage 2 to a couple of stages that I've got to go through. Who knew? Geez, who knew? So much going on with all of that. But I wanted to let you know, just in case you didn't know, today's a Columbus Day. And so producer Ron has found, because I said, I'm sure there's got to be a documentary about Christopher Columbus. Sure enough, there is. And so it's called The Columbus Enigma, Who Really Was the Legendary Explorer? And so this documentary is going to be played tomorrow. And then did you know that Mark Taylor and Melissa Leggett were in Remnant Rescue? So just in case you weren't familiar with this, we've aired it a number of times here on the Michelle Moore Show. And so on the channel and on Truth Talk America, but it's been a while. It was really before Mark started coming on the show. And so we went on ahead and have scheduled that to be on Wednesday and Thursday. I highly recommend, even if you have seen it, to watch it again. Every time I watch it, I hear something new or I'm reminded about something. And so I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. And I also highly recommend that you watch it again if you have seen it. So just wanted to make sure that you knew that. We're going to talk a little bit about North Carolina update and some other things after our time with Mark today. So be sure to stay with us after that. I wanted to talk real quick for a couple of comments that were in the chat. I asked producer Ron. So a viewer said, if President Trump took a vaccine, it's all good stuff for the first one that was released, like the first one that was released. Then when he was pushed out of the office, excuse me, the enemy moved in with poison. Okay, we'll talk about that. Producer Ron. Okay, so another viewer says, question for Lieutenant Mark Taylor. We'll do that. Okay, so let's go on ahead and bring him in and let's get started. We've got a number of things we're going to be talking about with Mark today. Hi, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me on the show as always.
Well, thank you for being here. I've seen a couple people say it's been a long 2 weeks without us together.
Well, we'll ask them that towards the end and see if they feel the same way.
I love it. Okay, well, let's go on in and get started. The first thing is, okay, talking about the shot, I don't like to call it the V word because it's not really what the definition would mean of what that is. But let's take a look at this image. There's a story that's come out about a study versus, the whole study is about whether or not, and of course, it's a bombshell, the vax versus the unvax study finally sees the light of day, and the results are staggering. So, wow. Let's look at the second part. It's got all kinds of stuff. Here's what the data shows. So fever is 9.1 times higher in the vaccinated. Ear pain, 3.4% higher. Let's see, ear infections, 2.9 times higher. Conjunctivitis, 2.4 times higher. Eye disorders and other things is 1.8 higher. So in other words, this is crazy. Now, I believe this asthma, this stuff is crazy, 5.2 higher. So we got a lot of stuff going on here. You're talking about allergy, which is hay fever, sinusitis.
Yep.
Yeah. Breathing issues, anemia, eczema, lots of skin issues. I believe that's where it's coming from with my son. Hives, dermatitis, behavioral issues. There's a lot of stuff on this list, even ADHD, 0 cases in the unvaccinated group. Wow.
Shocker.
Okay. What do you think?
Shocker. So look, this is just proving more of what we've been saying over the years with this vax, right? So we know that all these things increase. We've showed other studies that have been released before this. This is obviously a huge one. A bombshell has come out again. We've got a lot to talk about here as we go along on the show here to do with this whole thing. I think there was another group on the unvaccinated in that same article, farther down in the article right there, where it's saying that basically none of this stuff was happening in the unvaccinated group for the most part. So again, it's just a confirmation again of what we already knew. Now it's starting to come to light. And look, people are going to start getting angry over this at some point because there's no man, woman, or child that's not being affected by this vaccine. on this planet right now. I mean, how many people do we know that have either sick or have died or are in the process of dying from this vaccine? I mean, everybody's been affected by this thing. There's no walking away from this. That's what I
Mhm.
understand. There's no walking away from this.
Okay, well, let's take a look at a couple of images here. So let's look at this Trump vax. There was the letter, just in case somebody doesn't know, there was like a formal, thing that came out saying that, hey, from the desk, of the
Right.
president. And so the doctor has given him a flu shot and a COVID shot, is what you end up learning in this. Informed New Jersey nurses says, let me fix this. So this is a post that's on X that I came across. President Trump received an ineffective flu shot and another COVID booster, even though COVID is over, ... Next one, producer Ron says, okay, this is a doctor, Irene, and she's got an X post and she says, let me fix this. The president's physician did not provide informed consent and injected him with 2 injections that are not safe or effective and don't prevent transmission. The doctor should lose their license, be fired, and be indicted for crime. Furthermore, the COVID shot is a bioweapon. And the flu vaccine has serious side effects and has never been shown to decrease morbidity or mortality. And this has been known for 20 years. Third one, producer Ron. The next one is Dr. Jack Cruz. He says another assassination attempt. So thank you, producer Ron. So what do you think about all this? Like, these doctors are speaking up. This is just 3 of many that are on X where people are speaking up and talking
Right.
about this.
Well, first off, do we even know that he got the Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson shot, or did he
Yeah.
just get saline? We don't know. Even the first ones. Look, I'm going to say something very controversial, but I'm just going to be brutally honest, like I always am. And honestly, I feel like one could take this way. I'll let the viewers decide how you want to take this. Really, why at this point would you ever take a COVID vaccine at this point when we have herd immunity going on? We all know that at this point. So what is the purpose behind this of what he's actually doing? And why, people need to ask, why did he not keep this private if it truly was the COVID shot? Why did he go public with it? This is the part where people are going to have to discern. Is this a middle finger and a rebellion to the people who are pointing fingers at him over the vaccine? And for him to come out and say, okay, guys, look, I've taken this vaccine. I don't know what the big deal is. It's not affecting me in any way. Well, if you took the saline, well, I understand why. But if you took the others, then there's going to be some issues at some point. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of when. So is this a middle finger and a rebellion towards the patriots who have been booing him at his own rallies every time he brings up this vaccine because he said it's a good thing? He labeled himself the father of the vaccines. So why would you take this if it wasn't a rebellion against the people? Because again, you got to remember, this man's pride and arrogance knows no bounds. His ego is a mile long. So if he's not rebelling against America, he would have kept it private. But there's a message in here. He went public with this mess. Why did you go public with it? That's for you to decide, guys. That's the first thing. The other thing is did he take the actual shot or was it a placebo? Here's the part that infuriates me about this whole thing about him going public, Michelle. And it really infuriates me, honestly, because he knows, deep down, he knows that when he does something, millions will follow him.
Yeah.
So in my book, there's no excuse for any of it. If he was going to do this, that's something private between you and your doctor. You keep it private between you and your doctor. But the most powerful voice on the planet, once again, that this was I heard the comment of the person asking the question about it was all good stuff. The first thing, yes, that may have been true, but why was he promoting it during the Biden years? That's what you have to ask yourself. Why all of a sudden did he come out and do this publicly again? That's the question people need to be asking.
Well, this goes back to something that I've been saying. It kind of reminds me in that same vein. And that is, every day until somebody does something about these childhood shots, every day, including today, there are going to be children that are taken to the hospital or taken to the doctor and be shot up with all different kinds of shots. So there's going to be more children with autism, more children that have those things that we're just showing on there, eczema, asthma, all of these conditions, all of this stuff that's so avoidable.
Yeah.
And so, and then I'm hearing from Steve Jarvis, he's being told to play nice with these people. What in the world is going on? And so something isn't quite right. And like you said, he's the most powerful voice. And so unless all of these shots have been every vial in every corner of the country, in every doctor's office have been replaced with saline, something's very off here.
Something's bad wrong here. Well, you and I both know with the death toll that we have right now, according to the doctors, it is through the roof. And this doesn't even scratch the surface of what's coming when we hit the pinnacle of the death curve of this vaccine. And we'll get into some of this later as we go on to the show. This is why I believe he's doing what he's doing right now, is to make up for the fact, because I think he even knows he's in trouble.
Yeah, but if you're
he
in
doesn't
trouble,
want people. Exactly, but that's also the rebellion side coming out, because you have to remember, when you have an ego, like I've dealt with people like this, like him, who has a high IQ, pride and arrogance. They're not going to be pressured. You don't pressure these people. It just doesn't work. It's just the way they're wired, and so it's kind of a rebellion against the American people. But at the same token, why again would you go public with this? If you want to do that and take that choice, that's your choice. I don't have a problem with that. What you do behind closed doors is your business with you and your doctor. But don't come out here and go public with that garbage, knowing millions are going to take it based on that. That's the problem I have with this right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand it. I mean, you see signs everywhere saying flu shots, come get them. And you see people, you're in the store, the grocery store, and they're pushing the shots still.
Well, and look, here's the thing. And this, again, is going to be controversial. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I would like to see the president walk into a cancer ward right now and tell him how proud they are of these vaccines. Hearing these people screaming in pain, vomiting blood, literally vomiting blood from this turbo cancer that this vaccine has caused. Let me hear you tell the families how proud you are of the vaccines and how you've labeled yourself the father of the vaccines. You better take a lot of Secret Service with you, because you're not going to have enough, because it ain't going to go well for you.
I don't know. It's just very frustrating, because
it is very frustrating.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, because one of the things that you said over and over, and we all agree, is that he is the most powerful voice. And so unless there is something else going on here, how is he still pushing that? Like I said, something else going on here, like, I don't know. One of two things that I can think of. One is that they've all been replaced with a saline. And there's nobody in the future being, injured.
Then why not come out and say it? That's the point. Here we go again with the games.
Yes, it would be.
This is what people are sick and tired of. Look, and we'll go into more of this as we go along. Look, everybody I talk to right now is frustrated with this president. They're angry with this president. They are hurt by this president. And some would even say that they've been betrayed by this president, because he has abandoned the America First agenda. Everything this man campaigned on. Have we seen any arrests with Epstein? No. Matter of fact, they've covered it up. Just like they're covering up the Charlie Kirk stuff. His administration is a joke. We've talked about this 1,000 times. He's got a couple of people on there who are legit. Pete Hegseth, Tom Homon, these guys, great guys.
Well, you say that, but then you got Pete Hegseth sitting there about the base that's being opened up. Like, how
he's being told what to do. He's being told what to do. Okay. He's not. He doesn't have the power, I don't think, to do that on his own. He's got to get presidential authority to do that, right?
So but he's taking part in that.
We're going to talk about all that here in a little while.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, again, what is going on with this president? We're going to talk more about this as we go along in the show, and we're going to show you what is influencing it and how it's influencing him.
All right. Well, let's talk about Pam Bondi. So there's a new thing that's come out now where Trump has said, do something. And this has to do with President Trump. Of course, he's saying once again, calls for her to take action after the information breaks about 274 FBI agents were present at J6. Nobody here is surprised. We already knew that there were a bunch of FBI, agents there. It's so obvious. It's not even funny. So agitators there, FBI agents. So what do you think?
Well, again, we got some more to go along with this here with her. And so, she's a joke. And so this is twice he's called her out publicly now. Twice. Why is she still in the position she's in is beyond me.
But when he called her out the first time, he walked it back.
I know he did. Yeah.
And so
I'm surprised he hasn't walked it back on this one.
Okay. Well, the next thing is there's now a petition out. The National Association for Gun Rights has a petition out now. So explain about this, Mark.
Okay, so we exposed Cash Patel a few programs back with the Washington gun law attorney out there in Washington gun law. He's a Second Amendment attorney, and he is even calling out Pam Bondi over these issues right now, over her handling of some cases with the Second Amendment. We have told you, we have proven to you in Cash Patel's own words, he is not Second Amendment, pro-Second Amendment. He is anti-Second Amendment. He would support a weapons ban. He said it himself.
Yes.
In that, we showed it. And then he said he would go along with the Democrats and work with them to censor Americans on your First Amendment rights. Folks, these people are not your friends. Why Trump? This is nuts. I don't know why Trump has these people in office right now. And now she has come out and done something with, I think, not one, but two different cases now, messing these cases up with the Second Amendment cases, which is being done purposely. And then she comes back and says, like Firearms Policy Coalition, some of these guys, or whoever this is, these gun rights guys have come out, and she wants the roles. In other words, who are your members? She wants a list of names. Why would you want a list of names, Michelle?
Not good.
Not good. And now these gun rights guys are coming out, and they are fired up, and they have fired a petition, which I have signed, by the way, wanting her immediate termination because of this. This is, you want to talk about totalitarian state? This is it right here, man. They are not pro-Second Amendment at all. And so when you put her together with Cash Patel, Susie Wiles, and well, we'll go into all that. Paula White, we'll go into all that here in a little while. What you have here is a recipe for disaster, which is what you're seeing right now. This blows my mind right now. If you haven't signed this, folks, sign the petition.
It looks like you can go to action.gunrights.org to sign it.
Yeah, if you're Second Amendment, you need to be signing this.
Yep. All right, Tucker Carlson, I'll do it immediately after the show. Tucker Carlson on Pam Bondi. Let's take a look at this. Just in case you've forgotten. All right, here we go.
But how can you say that thousands of children were raped, but I'm not going to find out who raped them?
Yeah.
How can you say that?
I agree completely.
They said that. By the way, when Pam Bondi went on television and said, I have a videotape of kids getting abused, I followed this case closely, and I know a lot of the people involved, as I've told you.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I didn't know that. Really? Thousands of children got raped?
Yeah.
Who raped them? Where are the rapists? Like, why aren't they in jail? What? This is the Department of Justice.
Yes.
That is so crazy. This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just think it's very dangerous to play around with this stuff. Like, very dangerous.
Well,
I don't want a revolution, but if you wanted a revolution, this is how you would act.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so they've covered up Epstein, and even Trump has, I hate to say this, folks, he has lied to the American people, calling it BS. People want to say the Trump administration has lied. Trump came out and said it was BS, guys. We all know this is garbage, right? Something's not right here.
He said it was psyop.
Right. So Epstein, you have Charlie Kirk. All these things are being covered up. You have anti-Second Amendment individuals up here. What makes this administration any different than Obama or Biden at this point?
None.
Oh, I just went dead silent there.
None.
Nothing right now at this point, because she's not getting the job done. He's come out publicly twice. Why is she still in the role? Why is she still sitting there?
Well, Dan Bongino's in his role and Cash Patel is in his role.
Yep.
So nothing has changed. And they've done a lot of what we're talking about, like with Cash. You know, he's done this stuff and said this stuff while in this position.
And look, someone like that who holds that high level of position is a very dangerous individual, because they are just itching to kick your door down and take your guns.
Okay. Grandma's Pony says, 2015 says, I don't know what to think anymore. A little frustrated. Yeah. Okay.
Everybody is.
There's an audio. President Trump gaggles. This was yesterday. Gaggles with the press on Air Force One. Let's take a listen.
Peace plan where developers can go in and make Gaza the Riviera of the Middle East.
Well, I don't know about the Riviera for a while, because you take a look at what you have. You have to get people taken care of first. But it's going to start really essentially immediately. I mean, they're going to have to start by removing a lot of the structures that you see that are down to the ground. I mean, it's blasted. This is like a demolition site. Almost the entire site is. So you have to get rid of what you have there. You have structures that are very dangerous. They're falling down. If they haven't fallen, they're going to fall down of their own volition. So that process, Peter, is going to start pretty much immediately.
Okay, so in there he says you have to take care of the people first. And then he says you have structures that are dangerous, that have to be torn down. So here we go again. What's priority? Gaza or North Carolina?
We don't want to talk about
Have
North Carolina.
have we done anything with North Carolina? Have we done anything with the fires out in California? Have we done anything with all this stuff with the hurricanes? Why is it that America is last right now? Why is that? That's my question that I want people to answer. Why is it America? What happened to the America First agenda? We're worried about peace in the Middle East, which we'll get into here in a minute. Where is the peace for America? America is in the process of being burned to the ground right now, Michelle. So why have we not cleaned up America first?
Okay, well, let's do this. So we have live chat on Rumble. We've got over 1,000 people live right now. And so I want to ask the audience something, and let's just see what the chat says. Okay. Because
Sure.
I love crowdsourcing this information because it
Sure.
really helps me to keep a finger on the pulse. So those that are watching live, how many of you have experienced lower grocery prices or lower gas prices, lower eggs, all that stuff? Who has actually got it better? Now, at this point, President Trump has been in office almost a full 10 months. So we're just trying to figure out is there somebody who actually has it better? Not the same, not worse, but better. So who's got it better? Because that will help me. If you feel like your gas prices are lower, the only thing I know is maybe the egg prices supposedly went down. Remember that whole thing? But I mean, what else is better if that even happened? I just don't try. I don't buy grocery or eggs at the grocery store. So I'm not a good one to.
It's lighting up. So there's your chat. You just got your answer.
Is it? Okay. Well, let's just look.
You just got your answer.
No, not better. No, higher prices. We are lower than the U.S. and Canada. Not me in Macon, North Carolina. Not here in California. Yeah, nope. North Carolina, eggs went down. Nope. Higher. Gas maybe. Nope. Here in Texas, no drop at all. It's gone up. Gas is coming down. Yes, this is Nancy. So Nancy Joe says gas is coming down. Yes. Tim says I got gas for $2.39 last week in Omaha. Is that good or bad for your area, Tim? No better in Fort Worth, Texas. Chicken roast. Wow. Okay. $31.99. Yeah. The food, the meat, of course, healthy meat which is what we buy. It's just crazy. It's out of control.
If you're looking at this whole thing right now, I would have to say 90% of this is no.
Mm-hmm. Nothing is low in Utah. Absolutely nothing in all caps. Nope. Spending 3 times as much for groceries. Agenda 21 truth. I'm telling you, it's insane.
Yeah. It's crazy.
What I used to buy at the grocery store for $200 is now about $350 to $400. I can't get out of the grocery store for less than $400. Used to be I couldn't get out for less than $200. It's absolutely insane. Food is up 25%, and Coates says. Now I'm comparing my prices to prices that were like 10 years ago when my children were younger. I'm not meaning the last 10 months. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. I should have made that clear. No in Ohio, higher prices in Florida. What about you? You're in Florida. So are prices the same as Biden, or have they continue to get higher?
Same.
Okay.
There's no movement. Well, it fluctuates here. The gas fluctuates here because we have tourist season. So they're going to jack the gas prices up because of tourists.
Alabama, not better. Higher on the Gulf Coast. Yes, in Colorado, both gas and eggs are lower. Okay. Rules. Thank you. Beef is exorbitant. No kidding.
Yes.
No kidding.
Just paid $23 a pound for beef.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's absolutely insane. Christ Believer says nothing in North Carolina with a bunch of explanation points. So nothing's lower. Yeah, not in upstate New York, bunch of explanation points. Wisconsin, gas is down. So that's good to hear.
Well, and let's point out while you're reading that too, Michelle, all these
Yeah.
states that are coming in here, these answers, these are not all blue states here, guys. You're hearing red states that the prices are going up in some of these places. They're not coming down. So he can't sit there and say this is because of blue states. No.
Asiago says over $1,000 a month for food versus the normal $800 or less.
Right.
That's, yeah. And so, okay, New Jersey is out of control. Truck insurance for owner operators, $30,000 a truck. Wow, that is out of control. Food is still off the chain expensive in Virginia. Thank you, Kazadu, because we hadn't seen anything about Virginia. SL Rawlings says not much in Maryland. Remains high. Okay. Prices are going down in Pennsylvania. Panhandle of Florida food is high. Iowa is higher.
This is like a roller coaster, man. There's no rhyme or reason as to why it's high, why it's low. You know what I mean?
Pierre's mom. That's so true. She said they said even ramen noodles are up. LOL. That is so true.
Yeah.
I was just talking about that the other day. I couldn't believe the prices of ramen noodles.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy cow! I used to be able to get like 10 for $1, like 10 cents a packet, which I wouldn't eat that trash. But it's so I don't even want to know what's in that. But anyways, okay. So let's listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is not somebody that we would typically, we don't really endorse anything she has to say for the most part, but we do want you to hear something that she said that caught our attention. Let's take a listen.
That is bumpy. It's bumpy.
It's bumpy.
And I'm talking to major manufacturing companies they're saying we support the president. We support what he's trying, his long-term goal, but we're having problems with these tariffs. And now we're having problems. We can't get supplies from this country and we can't get supplies from this country. And there's problems, but have regular people's bank accounts been affected? Has the stress come off? No, that has not happened yet. And that needs to be the major focus. It shouldn't be about helping your crypto donors or your AI donors or welcoming in these people that hated you and spent money to try to beat you, but all of a sudden are excited to come out to the new Rose Garden patio.
Yes.
That shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be the people that showed up at the rallies, stood there for freaking 18 hours trying to get in the rain, in the cold, in the 100-degree heat. For those people, those are the ones that I care about. Those are the ones that voted for not only the president, but every single Republican gave us power. I don't think those people are being served.
Yeah. So, to me, look, again, not endorsing this lady here, but everything she said right there was 100% accurate. That's how most Americans that I talk to, and we talk to a lot of people, we have them in here in the chat, social media, emails, whatever, they all feel the same way. They are frustrated with this president. They are angry with President Trump because of the things that he has done and the things that he has not done that he promised to do. And we're coming up to a year, almost a year into this man's presidency. We're like you said, we're like 10 months here, right?
Yeah.
So
almost exactly.
And it's not been America first from day one. Not one time has it been America first. It's been about Israel. It's been about all these other countries, Ukraine. It's been about all these other countries all around the world here, except for America. And that's what people are tired of. Look, when you can't even walk down the street to go spend your money to go buy eggs safely. And if that's the case, why do we still have 50 million illegals in this country? Why hasn't he declared the Insurrection Act? Why haven't we put the military in here or whatever the case may be, National Guard, and clean these people out of here? It's not even safe to go to the grocery store, much less buy your groceries.
Well, but Mark, do we have enough military to be able to clean the streets at this point that are actually qualified and not 5'3" overweight men and women?
But law enforcement can't do it.
And so that's what I'm saying. I mean, we've got so many issues. And how is it going in the cities that we have gone into? We're seeing people that are illegals or, just everyday like it looks like Americans are actually fighting ICE. It's insanity. So, this is insanity. It's crazy. So, I'm wondering, if we even have what we need to be able to do what needs to be done.
May not, because the mentality is out there right now. It's the same way in the fire service. I see it all the time. Look, the woke mentality has destroyed everything. You have women wanting to be men. You have men wanting to be women. Nobody has character or integrity, or nobody has that masculine warrior mentality that it takes to turn something like this around. So, yeah, I get it to a point. I do get it to a point, because we have women in places that shouldn't be there. We have men in places that shouldn't be there. Everything's backwards. Everything's been flipped. Up is down, down is up right now in this country. That's why I'm telling you that why have we not been focused on America and straightening out the chaos in America? Why everybody's screaming peace in the Middle East, peace, peace, peace. Why don't we have peace in America first? This should have been dealt with first, because as America, look, when America sneezes, the rest of the world catches cold. That's that old saying that goes. So why is America burning? Why is it still burning right now? We're going to show some more stuff here to prove this fact. Why are we not dealing with it?
All right, let's take a look at a video of President Trump on faith. Let's take a listen.
And I felt for a long time that, if a country doesn't have religion, doesn't have faith, doesn't have God, it's going to be very hard to be a good country. There's no reason to be good. I want to be good because you want to prove to God that you're good, so you go to that next step, right? So that's very important to me. I think it's really very important.
He said the R word. I cannot stand the word religion. Ooh. Okay. So
I am. Look, I am flabbergasted by some of the stuff that he's saying. We're fixing to show another one here. It's really going to drive the point home here in a second. He's saying religion. He's saying God. What God? You can't sit there and say God. There are hundreds of gods, thousands of gods. You've got to identify by which God you're speaking about here. It's not by good works we get to heaven. And we're going to talk about this here in a second. But it's the fact that he keeps talking about religion. We have to have religion. No, we don't. God hates religion. He's not in a religion business. He's in relationship. And let's go ahead. Let's just move on. And I'll say this for the last part. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, but when you listen to this, the first thing that I thought was, how long has Paula White supposedly been his pastor? Like 15 years? So, and it also reminded me of the whole thing where, he was asked about forgiveness when he was running for office. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he said basically that he didn't do anything wrong.
Well,
if he hasn't done anything wrong, why would I ask for forgiveness?
So that was the first thing. And now I'm hearing this and I'm like, Paula White doing a bad job. Now,
epic fail. Epic fail.
Yeah. And so if he doesn't have some of these basics down, it would be very concerning that for anybody, but for him, this is a problem.
This is
by
bad.
the way, you ready for this one? So I got an email. Okay. So it says, congratulations to NFAB. That would be the National Faith Advisory Board founder and White House senior advisor, Pastor Paula White Cain, for being named the #1 on the exclusive list of Israel's top 50 Christian allies. So, she's #1. So they've got a list. And so I have put it on michellemooreshow.com. There's a link. And when you click on the link, it will take you to the site and you will be able, it's right there. You'll be able to see the list for yourself. I thought it was odd, some of the people that are on there, but these are people. First of all, what's Van Jones doing on there? Is he a Christian? So it says, it just hit me about that. White House senior advisor, Pastor Paula White Cain, named on the exclusive list of Israel's top 50 Christian allies. Yeah. #1. Oh, guess who's #2? Charlie Kirk. Not that he's alive to be able to tell you if he would want to be on that list or anything, but he's #2. Okay. It's #2. And this list was made after he passed away. So just so you know. What are your thoughts?
Can we get my thoughts after we play the next one? Because I really want to play the next one.
So this one is so this one, Trump is speaking on Air Force One about whether he thinks he's going to heaven or not. I'm sure many of you have seen this, but for those of you that haven't, let's take a look.
Weeks ago, you were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven, but I've made life a lot better for a lot of people. And you know, as an example, had the election of 2020 not been rigged, you would have millions of people living just in Russia, Ukraine alone. That would have never happened, and it didn't happen for 4 years.
Why would you say that?
I'm at a loss for words right now. I mean, honestly, because Paula White we all know she's demonic. I'll call it out. I really don't give a crap at this point. I am so sick of these people, these Christian people who call themselves Christian, but all they're after is money. It's a big corporation. Is all it is. This is the end result, guys. Our president is being led down the wrong path. This man, I'm going to go into this right now, if you don't mind. I've been saying this for a long time, for years. There is a spiritual coup. It's in my prophetic words. This is a spiritual coup against this president. When you have a natural coup, it was a coup in the natural in the first term. When you have something in the natural, you always have something paralleling in the spiritual, vice versa. It was a spiritual coup that was taking place. They have captured this president, and they are holding him hostage demonically. Why? Because you have Pam Bondi, you have Susie Wiles, you have Kash Patel, you have Paula White. What do you have? You have witches, wizards, warlocks. It's a coven. Put it together. It's a coven that he has assembled around him that have demonic influence over his decisions. They're hiding stuff from him where he can't make an informed decision. That they're gatekeepers. They're not allowing certain information to get to him. That's why the prophetic word right here says, when God said that no true prophet of the living God will ever reach the king's ear. Mm-hmm. That's what these people are there for. It's a spiritual coup. It is effective. It is working. This is why President Trump's doing what he's doing. This is why he's being influenced to make the decisions he's making right now. And we're going to go into some more of those decisions right now in a minute. It's working. That's what this is about. He needs to fire every flipping one of these people and be done with them. Put them on the road. If he doesn't want to do it, give me a call. I'll do it. I'd put Paula White on the road right now, and I wouldn't even think twice with this lady. They have literally committed spiritual treason against this country and against this president. What president? My God, think of this for a minute, Michelle. There's a president thinking he's not going to make it to heaven. What is this? It breaks my heart. This is the most powerful voice on the planet right now, and he's got a spiritual advisory board that can't even get this man to even say the name of Jesus most of the time. He's not even saved. That's not even being saved. That's what upsets me.
I know.
I'm infuriated with these people right now. It is incredible to me that those words would even come from that man right now. When he's known Paula White for 20 plus years. Oh my gosh. This is a high-level witchcraft spell they have placed on the president. And unfortunately, it's going to take deliverance to get it off.
I'm speechless.
I don't know what else to say other than just be brutally honest. Somebody's going to have to go in there and deliver the president. Literally.
Okay. It's scary too to listen to a grown man speak that way, talking about earning it and all the basics of Christianity. Like, you can't earn it.
No.
You just can't. You don't earn your way into heaven.
You don't earn your way through good works to heaven. It is through Christ and Christ alone. Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life. No man will come to the Father except through him.
Yeah. And so it's like you listen to him and you're going, and that's why I said the first thing that came to me was, okay, so Paula's been his pastor for how long? And you know what also comes to me? Remember I think it was the last time that we did the show, which was 2 weeks ago, we talked about, remember when it was like Paula was saying what she wanted? She's like, oh, I don't need your fame and I don't want your fame and I don't want your money. I already have that.
Yeah.
Remember her saying that?
Yeah.
Okay, I want your soul. She didn't say
she got it. She got it.
Yeah.
She got it. Somebody else right here in the comments. Thank you for putting that in there, reminding us. The Judas kiss from Kenneth Copeland has taken place. Remember he kissed him on the cheek at that rally? And I pointed that out. That was very prophetic.
Yes, it was. Yes, I remember. He let him up on that stage. And we
Right.
asked him, he said then, why in the world would he ever let him up on that stage? That man of all people.
Look, remember the White House or the Oval Office picture with Paula White, Rodney Howard Brown, and all these people? All you saw were 3 hands on the back of the president.
Mm-hmm.
That was it, guys. That was the transference right there.
Wow. Okay. All right. Jesse Kelly warns of communist ideology infiltrating and taking over American churches. Let's look at this image here. So there's a story that's come out. Yeah, communist ideology. Wow. That's one of the many problems that we've got going on right now.
Yeah. Well, look, here's what people don't understand, and we'll get into this here in a minute. But this ideology has infiltrated the church system, the Babylonian church system, right? And we're fixing to show some more of the influence that this has had on us, because again, you're talking about a system that is demonic, that is ruled by Baal, not the Lord Jesus Christ. He's not over the 501c3 churches. Jesus is not the head. They can scream it all they want to from the pulpit. He's not the head of those ministries or those churches. Baal is. This is the influence right here that you are seeing. The communist influence, the LGBTQ influence, the stuff we're seeing with ICE right now. They're supposedly all for they want to save the illegal immigrants here in America versus kicking them out. That's the demonic influence that Baal has over our churches right now.
I mean, how can you even think that when they're going to let the gays and the lesbian and all the different things that we have aired in the last 6 months, remember like, what about the pastor or the preacher, supposed preacher, gets up and says, I'm he, him, and starts sharing pronouns or their stripper name or whatever they call it.
Right.
It's like, this stuff is insanity. What about the church that had people in the bondage stuff with the leather chains and dressed as a dog? These are things that we have shown over and over and over, week after week after week, show after show for the last, all this year. And so if you want to sit and think that the church has Jesus sitting at the top, no. And that's why I said that's religion. That is all crap from the pits of hell.
Yep. This is what Paula White has done to this man right here. And you got to remember, as he goes, so does America.
Yes. As the head.
Sorry, guys. He's the most powerful voice on the planet. So does the rest of the world, guys.
That's right.
This is the problem. This is why Paula White is in such a powerful position.
I want to read this to you and the viewers, so I'm going to show it here over on YouTube. Silence Do Good says, even the demons know scripture and plead to Jesus before judgment. Trump has no fear of God. Why would he say he's not going to heaven?
He hasn't been saved. If you're saved, you should know you're going to heaven, right?
I know. Something's
off. Something's
real off.
Something's bad off. And I'm going back to the spiritual coup. It's the spiritual coup that is taking place that God has been calling out in these prophetic words for years. He's been warning and warning and warning this is taking place. People say, well, I want to pray for President Trump. Praying's over, guys. It's time to war. This is a war. We are at war spiritually. This is not about Democrat and Republican. This is good versus evil. You cannot ride the fence. The devil owns the fence.
That's right.
We need to war on the president's behalf. People, it's like that petition right there. You need to go sign that petition. That's a witch. We need to get rid of her.
Yeah.
We need to demand that these people get fired. This is a coven that's around him.
Yeah, but how do you break that down? Is that through like the ecclesia? Can we tear down those strongholds through prayer?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
fasting?
For warring, all these things that we have to do. These are the things you can't just sit here and say, well, Lord, I just pray to open President Trump's eyes and ears.
Mm-hmm.
No, we have to go to war on America's behalf. This is about America.
Is this going back to the cause that Melissa has?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
So want to remind everybody about Melissa's calls. We talked about it last week. I want to make sure that producer Ron puts the right number on the screen because I actually had it wrong. And so I had one digit off. So we want to make sure, but I'm bringing up, let's see here. So Melissa's got the Rockin' the West Coast. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. She's on Pacific time. So it's at 8 a.m. And so you'll have to figure out what the difference for the time zone is. But phone number is area code 339-207-7817. Okay. And so that's Melissa. That's where you call in. And again, it's at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay. And so this is Melissa Leggett. She's in the Remnant Rescue as well with Mark. And so she's been on the show. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen those episodes, you can do a quick search online and you should be able to find them when you do the Michelle Moore Show, Melissa Leggett. You should be able to have no trouble finding the episodes that she's been on. In fact, Producer Ron, we need to start a playlist on Truth Talk America for the Melissa Leggett episodes. Okay, so I want to read a couple of things to you, Mark. So the first one is, Mark, do you believe that there's a chance that this will all change? Darla Ann asks you.
Yeah, I believe it will if we can war. Now, somebody said here a minute ago, no, prayer's never over. Look, you get my point, guys. It's not soft prayers that I'm talking about here, so don't take my words and spin it here. What I'm saying is it's time to go to war. You can't sit back twiddling your thumbs thinking, Lord, open the president's eyes. That, to me, are softball prayers. We need to war on the president's behalf. He needs deliverance. He needs the spirit of the fear of the Lord to fall upon him. All these people need to be rousted out of office and away from the president right now, because you see the devastating effect. It's not just the president this is affecting, guys. This is affecting every man, woman, and child in America and across the globe right now. This is a spiritual war for every man, woman, and child is what this is. It's not, because, again, as America goes, so do the rest of the world. So don't say, that Mark's saying don't pray. No, what I'm saying is it's
war.
It's war.
Yeah.
We have to go to another level.
Yeah. And I totally relate to that. Like when my son's accident happened and at the last minute, the enemy tried to step in and steal his complete healing. And I went to war. I've talked about this, I think, on one show before. This mama went to war, honey. And, and so like I had never warred before. And and so we have to remember that. And so we have to remember that the ecclesia goes to war. It's the ecclesia that'll do it. Garcia's Faith says, Mark, I feel for you. You have had to stand on the words that God gave you. I felt for your position as you have had to stand on what the Lord gave, despite the president's turn.
Correct. So look, people have to understand, I live a very frustrating life. For a true prophetic voice, it is very frustrating to sit here and be the one that has prophesied this stuff and see way ahead. And you've got people back here going, they're not seeing what you're seeing. You're going, come on, guys, get up here. You can see what in the world's going on here so that you know how to pray, so that you know how to war. But you got people fighting you on it. It's a very frustrating lifestyle. And then you see a president that God has destined for greatness, literally. And we're not even talking about the Middle East peace stuff. We haven't gotten into that yet. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But as destined for greatness, take a turn and walk away from what God has for him. That's what I'm seeing, because he chose the wrong people. He chose to play a game, a psyop, and surround himself with the likes of this coven that he has around him right now. That's the frustrating part, because I see what God, and have prophesied what God has for him. But it's like he's rebelling against what God has for him.
Okay. But since God is the beginning and the end and knows it all in between, okay, the Alpha and the Omega, let me ask you a question about this. Is that part of why God gives prophecies? Because he knows, like when I've gotten a word from the Lord or had a prophetic word spoken over me, then what's ended up happening is I got that word because I needed that word, because it was not going to be a quick fix. It was not, was, you got to stand on the word. You got to believe and you got to stand and you got to fight. That's right. And so, there are those words. God never wastes a word, but those words are important. Those words are given to us because, like I said, it's not a right now answer. It's going to be a war. It's going to take time, but God knows the beginning and the end. And he's saying, hey, look, this is the word. And, so just wondered about that.
Well, look, and I'm going to say something else that's going to be controversial. All right. I believe that Netanyahu had an anointing. He turned. Somewhere down the line, I believe he turned. I believe that Netanyahu was destined for greatness. Didn't do it. And
Okay.
that's what bugs me. That's what bothers me. And so I don't want to see the same thing, even though Trump is doing the same thing. I see what could have been, because look, Netanyahu, he was a big name over here.
Yep.
Back, 15, 20 years ago, he was on Fox News almost once a week. He was on Fox News. He was all these things. I believe everyone's destined for greatness at some point, but it's up to you, the individual, whether you choose the destiny that God has for you or to slap God's hand away. And we've all done it from time to time. We've all rebelled against what God has had for us and didn't want it, or walked away from it and came back to it. Whatever the case may be, God is always there with open arms. Now, if you refuse a destiny, God will hand it off to somebody else at some point. If you keep
Yeah.
slapping his hand away, he will give it to somebody else, and they will fulfill that destiny on your behalf, what you should have done. That's what we don't want in this
And
case.
doesn't that go back to how God says, God's word says obedience is greater than sacrifice?
Right.
And so because he's not looking for your firstborn or your car or your house, he's looking for you to be obedient. He's looking for someone that he can
Right.
use to be the hands and feet of Jesus, to get out there and do what he's calling you to do and fulfill the plans and the purposes for which you were created.
Right.
If
Right.
not, then he'll go somewhere else at some point.
Right.
Because, one thing I've said, even with writing books and different things that I've taught, is that what I have learned is that God won't give you more than what you can handle of that. Now, God, I know there's a whole thing about, oh, God won't give you more than you can handle. I don't buy into that. So, because God actually showed me that was a lie from the pit of hell. When my son's accident happened, God said to me, you cannot handle anything without me.
That's right.
And I believe that. But so again, another lie that the world will have you believe in. But what I'm talking about is that God, when you're writing a book or God's calling you to write a book, what I've taught is that I have experienced over and over and over and over and over and over that if God gives me something, for example, for a book, and in my case, and that he's calling me to write, and I capture it, write it down, voice memo, whatever. If I write it, guess what happens? It could be just a quick little 5 words or whatever. Then I get something else. I write that down, or voice memo or whatever. Type it up real quick, whatever. All of a sudden, it starts flowing. But if I wouldn't write the first thing down, guess what happens? I don't hear anything else.
Right.
So that's what I mean by, if you won't handle what God's given to you about that calling on your life, I think a lot of that stuff goes away. He won't keep feeding if it's just going to go to waste. And so
he has to
you've got
trust you in the
take care of it.
small first before he will trust you for larger things. And it's
That's
the
right.
same way when he speaks to you. If he speaks to you, you don't pay attention to it, just like your dreams in Job 33 in the night season, where, if you don't write down what you say, you're not showing God that you're paying attention. So if you hear even one word, one syllable, write it down. Boom. God will continue to build on that. That's how I get my prophetic words.
Yes.
How I
Yes.
tell people to hear the voice of God sometimes is that God will only give me maybe just one word or maybe one sentence. If I let it go, I don't hear anything for a while. If I write it down, he will continue to add to it.
There you go. You got 2 people saying the same thing. And so that's exactly it. And so you've got to handle it, meaning you've got to be responsible with it. You got to capture it, and capturing it's writing it down, typing it out, voice memo on your phone, whatever it looks like, but get it down. And then when he sees that it's not going to waste, and that you are being a good steward of what he is giving you, not talking about a house, I'm talking about words straight from him and how to walk out. I told producer Ron this morning I could write a book just on the last 3 weeks and how God has shown up and shown out, and the directions and waking up and things being on my mind and just recognizing what God has told me to do or showing me to do. And then going and doing it. And so it is absolutely amazing. I'll probably be sharing that soon, because it has been so mind-blowing how he has worked it all out in a million different ways. Okay, so let's keep going. God is talking to us today, big time. Fun, Easy Recipes says, this show today is a turning point. Fun, Easy Recipes says, BB at one time was anointed, but he turned to pride and power. Got to stay humble. Yes. How do you war, or I'm sorry, how do you spiritual war for President Trump? I would say you need to get on the call with Melissa Leggett,
Yeah.
and you'll be a part of it. And
I don't.
so
We don't have time tonight to go into it because
right.
we're coming to the end here. So
That's what Melissa, that's her thing, and she's going to be, and you'll be part of a whole thing. So we recommend Melissa Leggett's Rockin' the West Coast prayer calls.
Yep.
And so she's amazing. And if you haven't seen the show she's on, I just want to repeat this. You need to go and look and do a search. She's been here on the show a few times. And so, and she'll be back. And Mark, I don't know if you know this. Did I ever tell you this story where when I first watched the Remnant Rescue is the first time I'd ever seen Melissa or heard of her? And do you know that the Holy Spirit, I was mesmerized by watching her. And the Holy Spirit showed me that she was the woman that I was to pay attention to. And like, because she's like, people can be quiet or whatever, people can dismiss someone, not think much of it, or somebody and not mean anything by it. But the Holy Spirit showed me, pay attention to this woman.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think what I really thought at the time was that she was kind of that woman behind the man.
Right.
She was the quiet person in the background, but she brought a lot to the table. And as I have gotten to know Melissa more and more, and as she's been on the shows and everything, I mean, Mark and I will tell people all day long, look, if you get an opportunity to be on a prayer call with her, be on the prayer call.
Yeah.
Do not miss these opportunities. If you are serious about the one thing we can do is war for our president, you got to be on these calls. They're free. Right. It's not what we're telling you what you can do. And we get this every week, all the time. What can I do? What should we do? We're wringing our hands. Right. And what do we do? I'm telling you, Mark's been saying you got to go to war. And we're telling you where you can go to learn how to be a warrior, but also somebody that will teach you and raise you up in that way to go to battle. So if you don't know how to do it, you're going to learn how to do it, and you're going to be able to do it with other people. Okay, we're going to move on. So Chicago Catholics, Catholic priests blocked from sharing communion with ICE detainees. Let's take a look at this video.
Lord, you told us to love our neighbors as ourselves, but you never told us to ask where they were born, what language they speak, or what papers they carry in their hands. You simply told us to love.
See, here we go again with the infiltration of the church. They're trying to turn this into a message like we're supposed to be saving these people, not kicking them out of here. No, we need to be kicking them out of here. If they're here legally, that's fine. You're here. You're a legal citizen. You're here. You're welcome here. But that we need to be getting out of here. This is the infiltration of the church demonically right here. You're seeing it at work and at play right here. They're playing on people's emotions right now in order to try to turn us around. They want these people here secretively because you got to remember, it's the Talmudic Jews and the Zionist Christians that are going to usher in the Antichrist. That's what people don't understand. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not even going to go into that right now. Mm-hmm. But it's the church. I've been saying this for years. It's the church system that's going to usher in the Antichrist. You're seeing it right here.
And it's the church system that is under the judgment.
That's right.
And so it's the system. That's one thing I learned very early on from you, was that it's the church system. That's the 501c3. And so it's the system. And so that's why we're no part of anything to do with any of that. All right. Iranian woman shares insight about the Middle East and their Sharia law strategy for here in the United States. Take a listen. This is a very short video.
Iranian here with another pro tip for anyone who's not from the Middle East. No one in the Middle East actually blocks intersections to pray in the streets and yell Allahu Akbar. The reason that they do it in your countries is because they're trying to assert their religious dominance over you and claim your country and turn it into Sharia law. Now you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
She broke it down. Now you know.
Yep. So again, we have this push for Islam. This is why I don't agree with the president's word, religion. This is religion, guys. You're empowering religion. We are a Christian country founded on Christian principles, nothing else. If you come to our country, you can adopt our ways, or I'm sorry, you can leave. It's just the way it is.
It's not for you.
It's not for you.
And people want to say, oh, but you have the right. You have freedom here, and you have the right to be able to worship and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, you have that right, but don't push it on anybody else. Don't expect to come in here and get Sharia law, change our laws, which is our Constitution, all these different things. This is what they're trying to do, and this is what we don't want.
I just want to make sure that that point is made. All right. Council on American Islamic Relations in Florida. Want to make sure you listen very carefully to this video. Let's take a listen.
Within the Panhandle, but our goal is to open an office and have that team, maybe an individual, and inshallah, if Allah gives tawfiq to have more, to engage the Panama City community, Pensacola, and Tallahassee. So the west side of the Panhandle. They will be the Care Florida representative, working with the advocacy hubs, the masajid, the schools, the organization, and in my view, in my humble opinion, focusing on youth and implementing within them, impressing upon their hearts that yes, it's good to give somebody a translation Quran, yes, it's good to talk to somebody about Islam, but it's just as good, if not better, to have a mind of public service, that they should aspire to be Muslim state representatives.
Okay.
Ooh, boy,
all right.
Is that dangerous.
Yeah, it's scary. It's all get out.
That is dangerous. I mean, again, you got to understand the spiritual implications. You see what they're trying to do. What that young lady just said right there is coming to pass before your very eyes, That's there in the state of Florida, a red state.
Great point, Mark. I said Florida, but you know, I don't really think a lot of times think about red and blue states.
Right.
To me, it's all getting back into the Republican and the Democrat stuff, which I don't believe exists really.
Right.
But there is a supposed red state kind of thing and blue state, meaning, you know, kind of overall. I don't know. I don't even know if I can even agree with that, even because if you think about it, Mark, I think we've been told California is blue, and I believe California is red.
Yeah.
I believe it was
I
stolen
said that years ago.
Yes, you did. And I believe it was stolen back through all of this that's happened in the last few years to Trump. So to me, I don't know, it's just conservative values and things. Kim says over on YouTube, look at Dearborn, Michigan. Yeah. Right. Are they saying that this area in Florida, they're going to start trying to make it look like Dearborn, Michigan? Because when I hear that video, when I heard it the first time, I thought what this is sounding like. They've got a plan.
Right.
And so be part of a plan to war this in the spirit.
Right.
That's what we were talking about with Melissa's calls.
That's right.
Just saying. Rhonda says from YouTube, I'll be on this call. Be on every one you can, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, Jews and AIPAC. Let's listen to what Valentina Gomez has to say about the Qatar. Well, she's not talking about the Qatari Air Base, but I think it relates to this. Let's take a listen.
People are obsessed with the Jews and AIPAC when the real problem are the Muslims. I voted for America First and for mass deportations, not for a bunch of Qatari Muslims flying fighter jets over our schools, homes, churches, and even synagogues. Last time a Muslim flew a plane, it took down the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. So I'll say it again, Islam and illegals have no place in America.
Okay, so also I want to read this to you. So a viewer, Lorna, says Michigan is blasting the Islamic prayers over a loudspeaker 5 times a day. Now we've played some of that.
Played that, yep.
But did we know it was 5 times a day, that they were actually doing that 5 times a day?
I think so, yeah.
I know that I've had viewers say that they've heard it before.
So do you understand now how dangerous people like Paula White are, Kenneth Copeland, Lance Wallnau, Hank Kuhneman, all these guys who are out there because they're corporations. They're not churches. They're not ministries. They're corporations. It's all about the money. It's all about the influence. It's all about the Zionism. Do you understand now the damage that these people have done to America? This is why America and the rest of the world is burning right now. This is why this influence of Islam has been allowed in here, because they've had no opposition in the spirit realm. None. Zero. It's going to, because again, you got to remember, your 501c3 churches and ministries, even your prophetic ministries, are combat ineffective. They're fighting for the enemy. They're committing spiritual treason. It's the ecclesia, those who are not in the church system, who are going to take this battle to the enemy and gain ground and hold it We can't just take ground. We have to hold that ground.
That's right. Very important that you hold it, not just take it, but hold it. Okay. So one of the things that I'm a little bit confused about, I would like to have a discussion with you on. Paula White, I want to go back and have a serious conversation about a question. Okay. So, she's got the whole Mother Moon thing, and they say that I'm not even real clear who's Jesus. Is it Mother Moon, or was it the husband, or who was supposedly the son of God? And they got all these wacky things, and she's close with her, and then she's doing this stuff with, Israel. Like, to me, it seems like a lot of this is contradictory.
I don't even think she knows, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I think she's got one agenda, and you got to remember, guys, a lot of these people are running programs. A lot of these so-called ministers, prophetic people, these big names, are all MK Ultra programmed. They're running a program. They're there for a reason. They're there with a 3-letter agency. They're there for a reason. They're there for that spiritual coup. They're there to literally captivate and woo. It's a wooing spirit, if you will, to woo the president. Because, see, you got to remember, go back to that Paula White video we played. She said that Trump called her. She didn't call Trump. Trump called her. And she gave you the steps by which she had to gain in order to gain that influence. She had to get fame, and she had to get money. Then that lined her up to get his soul. And boy, did she get it. Now, I want to go back to something here for a second. I don't mean to get off that subject, but we forgot to cover that Qatari thing real quick, because prophetically I want to cover this. That lady, that's Valentina, who was running, she's absolutely correct. Now, for some unknown reason, we're training Qatari pilots. I don't know if they're opening a base. I don't know that. I know that they're training them for sure. Here's the problem prophetically. I want everyone to put your prophetic caps on for a minute here, okay? Prophetically, because this is important. We've been showing you how Islam is influencing America right now, and how it is literally invading America right now, and it has no opposition. Neither does the Satanic Church, by the way. This is why you've seen LGBTQ and transgenderism on the rise, is because none of these religions have any opposition from the Christians right now. And this is where we come in. So, Qatari pilots being trained on American soil, I don't agree with that. I didn't vote for that. I agree with what she said. I did not vote for that. How is that America first? That is a Muslim country coming in here on the continental U.S. Prophetically, let's put our hats on here. Prophetically, what does this represent in the spirit realm? They're now going to have a foothold in the spirit, flying in the spirit, and they will eventually get air supremacy. Why would I be training a bunch of pilots from another country? I don't care if it is an ally, on American soil like this. Why would I be training them to give them the opportunity to spy the living crap out of us? Number one. Number two, what if they turn on us? You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what another country is going to do with that kind of hardware.
That's right.
On American soil. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter for Islam. I don't care who it is. It doesn't matter who it is. You could bring them in here from some other country, religion country. It doesn't matter. Why would you give them that kind of hardware over the continental U.S.? Never in a million years. So prophetically speaking, this is a very, very dangerous move for America to be doing this. And Pete did not make that decision. That decision had to come higher up than him. Which, again, I go back to Trump.
You know what it reminds me of, though? Isn't it? So I had Steve Jarvis on the show about a month ago, and he was explaining, or maybe an article had just come out. I forget if he told us this, or if it was in the article and we talked about it. But something came out about how Texas has been getting the chemtrails done to them by the Middle East. They're like testing they're testing their chemtrails over the state of Texas. They don't do it over their own country.
Well, aren't we all a test bed? Isn't everybody a test bed?
I know.
Chemtrails?
So
the entire country's a test.
Allowing that, but somebody's allowing that, Mark. And so whether that's a deep state or government or military, I'm sure it's a lot of people, but I know it's not just one, because even Steve says there's so many things that so many different people. He was explaining it and unpacking it. It's like 17 different entities, 3-letter agencies. Yeah. And then the president and the vice president and this person and that person on top of the 3-letter agency. So there's some things that Trump just doesn't even doesn't have the power for. We want to say, well, President Trump could do this, he can fix that, but he can't literally do some things. There are some things he can't. Okay, Brian Mannix is on, and he says most Catholic churches. Now, just some context here before I go further. Brian Mannix was abused. We've had him here on the show a couple of different times, but as a little boy, he was abused by a Catholic priest repeatedly, and has relationship friends with other people who were abused with boys, especially was abused by. They were also abused by Catholic priests. Some of them were actually trafficked across state lines. And so they're all part of a number of efforts to hold the Catholic Church accountable, especially down in New Orleans, in that area. So Brian says most Catholic churches caught diddling, meaning children, are being bought and made mosques.
Yeah. Why is this being allowed? It's no different than China coming in here buying in our farmland. Why are they being allowed for this to happen?
Yeah.
Now they're starting to put a stop on China. Why can't we do the same thing here? Again, you have to have the influence that these guys are gaining. All this stuff's gaining acceleration right now, and it's under Trump's rule. People have to understand that. It's acceleration beyond anything we have seen right now. It's under Trump's rule.
Okay. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of stuff not going on. It's very confusing, like the lady said earlier in the show. Very confused and frustrated. ND Nana says, when we sell jets to other nations, we are required to train the pilots. Pensacola has done it for years. It's a contract requirement. Well, then
train them over there.
Yeah, or don't sign the contract.
Train them over there. Not over the continental U.S.
Okay, let me understand this. So who is it that's selling the jet? Is it the U.S. government, or is it an airline making company? You know what I mean? Like,
from my understanding, I got a buddy of mine who did 3 tours in the sandbox. He was a captain in the Air Force. He did 9 tours over there. He said when they sell them these jets, they usually strip them of anything that we have over here that's ours or whatever. I mean, it's a stripped down type jet. Now, I don't know. So, again, train them over there. Don't train them here.
Okay, I want to also, there are 175 mosques in New York and counting, and 197 in New Jersey. Jeez. Yeah, New York and New Jersey, they just, and now they're coming for Florida, Mark.
Well, and Texas, remember we reported on Texas.
Over and over. We've been reporting on Texas for a year. Okay, now I wanted to go back to something. This whole chemtrail thing, I can just tell you right now in my area, they're all over the place. So don't get too excited that you haven't been seeing them since the government shut down. It's no. I'm going to tell you another thing that that I have gotten kind of interested in. Okay. And calling it out some. So let me pull this up. So on X over the weekend, I had seen where Thomas Massey was, posting. I think some of this stuff is about getting reelected, and they're full of, El Crapo. And so let's see here if I can find it. So he's saying something about, that I think it was taxes. Oh, here it is. He goes, Massey introduces a bill to stop the government from propagandizing Americans. That's what it was. And so I'm just like, now let's see it pass the bill and be enforced. Now, here's my question. So I say that, and I said, what's in it to hold people accountable? Who enforces it? And what are the penalties? See, we learned a lesson last year, about this time last year. It was August. We remember in Tennessee how the chemtrail bill thing that passed. Right. And then everybody's like, a couple days later, why are we still seeing chemtrails? And then we had Gary Humble on with Tennessee Stands. And Gary says, well, there was nobody policing it, and it was this, and it was set up to fail. It was all a big headline, made it sound like Tennessee was actually doing something, and guess what? They did nothing. And so that's what this sounds like, potentially a bunch of nothing. And so I want people, I'm sharing this because I want people to be aware of this. I think this is a tactic, and I think this is stuff that they do to get us excited about. And I've said this before to you guys about, we think we're getting somewhere, just like with that bill in Tennessee with the chemtrails. And Mark, didn't we all get excited?
Right.
And we thought, oh, Tennessee's leading the way. And guess what? We're back. We're right where we were
then. Big fat nothing.
Yeah. Big fat nothing. Yep. So this is all smoke and mirrors circus stuff going on. And we need to be aware of that. So ask the hard questions. I retweeted his stuff. I tagged him in it. I'm like, look, now let's see it pass and be enforced. So what's in it to hold people accountable? Who enforces it? And what are the penalties? Who's going to jail? In other words, who's going to prison and who's paying tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, if they continue to do this stuff? And so before you go voting for somebody thinking they're so great, start asking the hard questions.
Right.
Okay. Yep. That's what this is about. Now, when it comes to this peace deal, I want to ask you a little bit more about this. So there's the peace deal.
All right.
And he's, Trump's talking about the Nobel Peace Prize and all this kind of stuff, which is, I know we're all irritated with. Yep. But I mean, the Bible does say, blessed be the peacemaker. Right. So help us understand what's so bad about that.
There's nothing bad about it. Look, I'm happy that we have some peace in the Middle East. I'd be even happier if we had peace in America. So why haven't we cleaned up America? I go back to that again. Now I go back to in Thessalonians where it talks about or if when they cry peace, 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 be careful because their destruction is at hand. And so my other question to this is, I'm going to leave it with the people here, okay? Because I'm not real big on this peace process right now. I'm really not. I don't, if it lasts, great. But did the peace process bring glory to God? Or did it bring glory to man?
Man. That's why they're talking about the Peace Prize.
Is this peace process ordained by God or is it ordained by man? That's the question people need to be asking. If it is ordained by God, it'll stick. If it's not going to hold. Now, God may have ordained some of this to bring peace to the Middle East, but at the same token, he's going to show you that it's also been ordained by man to bring glory to man because of the Nobel Peace Prize. Because that's all we've been hearing about from Trump is Nobel this, Nobel that. The Peace Prize, they gave it to some other lady, and Putin came to his defense. It's like somebody just giving the Peace Prize where we can get back to America. Something happened here where we can get back to America and deal with America's issues here. You got Jared Kushner in the middle of all this, who I am not a fan of, by the way. Something very bad off of that guy. And so, again, if it holds, great. If we get some peace in the Middle East, great. Prayers have been answered. That's great. But it's time to focus on America and get back to America. That's what I would have to say right now.
Okay. KM Sunshine is asking, what are Mark's thoughts on the government shutdown?
How much longer does it last? I don't know. I know that it's given them an opportunity to fire a lot of people, which is good. And some of these agencies, federal workers, stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
How long does this last? I don't know. I have no clue.
All right. Another viewer says many more Muslims in Oklahoma than before. They secretly put a school/Islamic center a few miles from me about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Mark. Mercy is their name. How ironic. I always speak out Jesus when I see them. So how is that possible? Just like what we're talking about with Texas. Remember in Texas, didn't they even have their own law enforcement and their own policies being enforced?
They were trying to implement that 400-acre thing. They were implement their own police department, their own laws.
Yeah, it's called Epic, I think.
Let me explain again. You got to understand how this stuff works spiritually, guys. There's a spiritual connotation to all of this and how damaging this is to America right now. Again, we're a Christian nation that's being invaded with all these different religions. It's not just Islam, guys. It's every different religion. How many Hindus does he have sitting up there on his administration right now? We got Hindus. We got witches, warlocks, Hindus. We got homosexuals. All these guys are up there. They're all represented in the Trump administration. That's how dangerous this is. That's how I know he's gotten so far off of God's track, it's not even funny of what God has for him. Now, look, I just traveled to Knoxville, right?
Yes.
And there was a lot of traffic issues up to Knoxville and back. Mm-hmm. But nothing on 75, and I've traveled 600 and something miles on 75 until you hit the Marion County line, and it's wreck after wreck after wreck. It's backup after backup after backup. They think Atlanta's bad. Come through Marion County one time on 75. My chiropractor's the one that told me this. She said, it never used to be this way until two things happened. There was never any issues up there on 75. She says there was two Islamic mosques moved in, and one is sitting literally within probably 500 feet of 75 in that location, and they got wreck after wreck after wreck. And that's the spiritual influence that it has, guys. You think about that on a grand scale, countrywide. Again, I'm not just picking on Islam here. I am saying you can have a satanic church somewhere, a Luciferian church. You can have a Freemason lodge somewhere. All these things in the spirit represent something, and it is going to create chaos in whatever area they're in. You may see high crime in a next to a Freemason lodge. You may see a lot of chaos in that city. You may see, or in that town, whatever it is that's occupying that geographical location. It is occupying the spiritual space around it and having an influence in that geographical location, on its leadership, on the town hall, on the town council, whatever it is going to have an influence, a demonic influence on these people and how they operate.
Sense. Another viewer says half of the CDC people that have been fired last week have been reinstated. How is that?
Here we go again.
But yeah, smoke and mirrors.
Here we go again.
Sounds like,
and look, one could look at this like, you've got Peter Thiel, you've got all these techno nerds up there. You've got all, Mark Zuckerberg, you got Bill Gates. Why are these guys still out and about? Why are they still dictating policy?
Yeah.
And Trump's hanging around these guys, and he's doing stuff with Peter Thiel, and he's doing stuff, all these different people. And it's like, one could look at this and say, okay, Trump's going in here and he's removing one level of evil and replacing it with a higher level.
Yeah. So a user says, I drive a semi from Atlanta to Florida, and Marion County is the worst.
That's right.
People drive like they are brain dead.
Because they are. That's the vaccine at work, by the way.
Yeah. The aggressiveness
and the
of drivers.
Nobody's got aggressive drivers like Florida, man.
I don't know. It's bad.
Florida is a melting pot of cultures here. And between the frequencies and the vaccines, forget it.
And the humidity.
The heat and the humidity.
Yeah. Okay, listen to this one. So another viewer wrote in and said, Maxwell AFB, which is the Air Force Base, in Montgomery, Alabama, has been training other countries' pilots for 2+ decades. I know because my dad was an Air Force pilot.
Yep.
See, this is not new, y'all. This is all, I think this is all UN and One World Order stuff. Personally, been going on. Now we have the internet. We got some places and platforms like Rumble. And so we've got places that we can speak the truth, and there you go. Things are coming out, and we're just learning about it. So, we'll see.
It used to be when we had a war somewhere, we would send the Green Berets over to that country and train their country on their soil. We don't need to bring people over here on our soil. We got enough people here as it is. We got enough people that we have issues with. You know what I mean? Look, our own people. How many active shooters have we had on American soil on military bases that were Americans? For crying out loud, we don't need to be bringing anybody else in here.
That's right.
And giving them an opportunity to do something. They just forget it.
DG 1939 said, I remember during one of the rallies talking about Trump's, he said someone called him the most famous man, and he said, no, Jesus Christ is. What happened to him? Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So
something has changed between the first term and this term, and it's not good, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I'll say that in my closing statement. Go ahead.
Well, we're there. Well,
we're there? Okay.
Yeah, we're there.
All right. So, look, guys, the days of these little prayers for the president is not going to cut it. We got a war. Go to Melissa's prayer call. All right. I cannot recommend Melissa and endorse her highly enough because she is anointed by God to get a lot of this stuff done in the spirit realm and on these calls. Okay. But we need to be praying for the spirit of the fear of the Lord. I'm giving you a war thing here, guys. So listen up, write it down if you need to. I don't care.
Yes. Right.
You need to go to war with this. We need the spirit of the fear of the Lord to fall on the president. Number one, and number two, to fall on those vipers, those demonic vipers that are surrounding him right now, and have them literally fired and watch them crawl on their bellies out of the White House. That's what we need. We need the spirit of the fear of the Lord to fall on these people to the point that they literally soil themselves. That's what I want to see. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And that's biblical, by the way.
Yes. Is that it?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm tapped out, man.
I know. It's been something.
Wow. So
Chris Avery says, what is with the stupid peace prize when people in America are struggling? Yes,
That's
Chris.
been my point this entire show. We have lost the America First agenda. It's all been about the Nobel Peace Prize right now, guys. That stuff could have waited. Don't get me. I mean, look, I understand there's maybe certain things national security wise we may not know happening behind the scenes, but a lot of this stuff could have been pecked away out a little bit at a time while America was being cleaned up and fixed.
Yes.
We haven't even started the cleanup process here, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, you should see North Carolina. It's a mess. Ruby says, thank you, Mark. My family is one of the Freemasons. After seeing a photo of a satanic star, eyes are open. So there you go. I'm free from
I'm
the
just going to
Masons.
throw this out there. Do you think Gaza will get rebuilt before North Carolina?
Well, the way it looks, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen North Carolina? Swannanoa's a mess, you know? Yeah. I mean, it's just not.
America is being left behind right now, guys. So I don't know what else to say.
You know, and we still are dealing with, I want to say this too. I was about this the other day. I was telling my kids and talking about this some to my children and explaining something that happened during the whole Obama thing. Do you remember the whole thing about, and I don't remember the details, but it was like, you know, now we've got to this whole thing where businesses, if you work more than 32 hours, you have to be considered full-time and get benefits and all that. And so what's happened is you have a lot of people who are only getting to work 32 hours because the company can't afford healthcare prices and all the craziness, you know, Obamacare stuff. And so what's happened is you've got a lot of people that work 3 part-time jobs. Do you realize that? You got a lot of people, and they have no health insurance. They have no help with anything. They got no benefits anywhere, and they can't get time and a half. You know, they used to be able over 40 hours. You could get could get time and a half. All that's been cut out, you know, because companies are struggling with this. And then of course you got people that don't even want to pay for, you know, don't want to work. So that's a whole nother thing. But there is a whole level of struggle with people. And that's where I get so frustrated. None of that has been addressed. None of that has been fixed under Obama. And so those changes that were made, just like what we were talking about too, about what Tommy Massey was saying, why is it still where that the media can lie to the people? Why is it still okay and there's no accountability for that? This should have been fixed. Why is it okay?
Well, one could say the same thing about the Epstein.
Yeah.
Why have they? We're not prosecuting anybody right now.
Yeah.
Even with J6, nobody's being prosecuted right now.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing's happening. And people are sick and tired of it.
But
They're
Trump
tired of the delay.
But Trump is saying, do your job.
But then, like you said earlier, he backtracks it.
Well, he didn't backtrack this yet.
He hasn't been here.
Well, he got on
He's just not flying back. He's just now flying back from the peace conference.
Well, let's see what the next few days
Let's see what happens.
Okay. I might have to eat those words. We'll see if he, because I'm optimistic he's not going to walk it back this time. But last time he did.
Yep.
And so we'll see what happens. But what was the first time about that he called her out and then he turned around?
She wasn't doing something. I can't remember what it was now, but then he came around and said, oh, she's the best attorney general, whatever. She's doing a great job. It's like, no, fire her.
Well, let's see what happens.
We need men of a warrior mentality in these positions. Too many women.
You know, yes, too many women. I said that when we were voting for him. People would say, he's just so mean, you know, and I'd be like, oh, geez, look, somebody's picking on me, which that's what's going on for each one of us that are Americans. That is exactly what's going on. We're being attacked. I want someone to get up and punch them in the face. You know, and so I'm all for that. When someone's trying to take my money, take my rights, take my guns, all of that, and then steal our money that we work 40, 50 hours for, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, get up and punch somebody in the nose for me. And so he was the man that we hired to do that. And the first term, he did do that. Something has changed, and I don't know what it is. I do keep thinking about how, you know, we saw a Trump that said, I'm going away for a while because there are a lot of powerful people that don't like me or something like that. Do you remember that clip?
Yep.
What's that mean? And have we seen him there? You have to really pay attention and look sometimes because you can tell they're different Trumps. I've told this story before and I'm going to tell it again. I've met while at Mar-a-Lago, I met 3 different Trumps within a 24-hour period. Absolutely, without a doubt. 3 different ones, period. I met 3 different
Well,
men calling themselves Trump.
I don't know which one this one is, but this isn't the man I voted for. I can tell you that for a fact.
No,
And the one I
no.
voted for is MIA.
Yeah, I know it, right? Okay. So we'll see.
Yep.
Oh, so hold on a second. Graceful Guidance says he was talking about Big Pharma when he said that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Chris Avery says, Amen, Michelle. I feel the same way about these people. Yeah, something's up.
Something's coming for Trump anyway. It's going to drive him to his knees. I've been saying that for a while. What that is,
Yes.
I don't know. It's going to be something very personal.
Okay.
So, but
All right. Well, thank you, Lieutenant Mark Taylor.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I love it when he comes. It's a great conversation, great questions. Thank you so much. Yes, Graceful. That's right. Yeah, he was at the Whirlpool factory. That's right. Does everybody else remember that? So just wondering where, I don't know that I've seen that particular Trump. Is there something else going on here that, all that Mark and I can do is analyze and talk about our opinions and what we see and bring up these kinds of issues based off of what we see and what we know. And so, but yeah, so Rhonda says somebody says that Trump died in 1989. Well, I interviewed him last year, Quigley, and Quigley says that he was taken there and that he's really the real JFK. And he says that, or Junior, and that he says that he was taken to the site and saw Trump's dead body and that there was an MK Ultra run on Trump's children. Who knows? I don't, all we can do is listen to his story and what he has to say. And then you just have to, decide what you believe or what you suspect, or I just take the information in and I don't really have an opinion about it. And I don't really worry a lot about it. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about it. And the reason is because it's just like what the Holy Spirit showed me. I think it was sometime last year. And it is, how does this put food on the table of your viewers? In other words, in the grand scheme of things, how does this really make a tangible difference? That's why we only talk about these things for the most part on Mondays, because there's so much other stuff that we can actually go over and handle that makes a difference in people's lives. And so that's why we talk a lot about health related things and the truth about all different kinds of stuff when it comes to things that we've been told or solutions that maybe we didn't know. And so, in fact, I've got a couple of things going on right now with a few people that I'm waiting to hear back and see how different healings happen and how different things that we're testing, see how those go as well. Okay, so Silence Do Good says, Melissa and Jay helped me with repenting and renouncing spiritual energy attacking my soul. Mark helped me see the 501c3 for what it is. Thank you for being God's warriors. That's amazing. All right, I want to remind you that Mark was part of a documentary just as well as Melissa Leggett. They were both in Remnant Rescue, and we're going to be airing those both episodes. It's a 2-part series. I'm telling you, you got to see the second part. There's a couple of things in there that really opened my eyes back when this came out. And so you got to see it. It's both parts are amazing. And I just love Melissa too. She's amazing. You're going to love her if you don't know who I'm talking about. You'll see it and you'll love her. She's amazing. Very wise woman. But anyways, and so we're going to be airing those as the Michelle Moore Show Wednesday and Thursday. Tomorrow, we're doing a documentary. And that documentary is about Columbus, of course. And it's called, because today was Columbus Day. So I asked producer Ron, is there a documentary about Columbus Day or Columbus, Christopher Columbus? And he says, I bet there is. And so the Columbus Enigma, who really was the legendary explorer. So there you go. I want to remind you, Wednesday morning's call with Melissa Leggett and Friday morning. She had one this morning. She'll have one Wednesday and she'll have one Friday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, rocking the West Coast. And so prayer call, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. And you call in, and this is the number. It's at the bottom of the screen, area code 339-207-7817. I hope that this helps you. And I will look forward to seeing you here on on Friday. So I'm not going to be here tomorrow, Wednesday, Friday. Going to the dentist Wednesday. Y'all pray for me. And then I'm working with the Fulfillment Center. It's coming along. It looks amazing. I am falling into bed every night because it is so much work. It is so much. We are planning our last trip to North Carolina. This will be our 10th trip. And by the way, we have already collected enough money to, when it's all said and done with, we will be over the $250,000 mark of food and supplies and love offerings. It's crazy. Just crazy. You guys are amazing. God is so great and has really shown up and shown out with this whole thing. And so I've spoken with Jenica, and she too said that she felt like it was really kind of getting ready to come to an end. We're going to help with some winter stuff, as far as like we took a lot of soup mixes and things, but we're going to take some more stuff like that, and coffee, and styrofoam cups and all that kind of stuff. Again, if you want to send a donation, you can go into the show description on Rumble, any of them in the last 8, 9, 10 months, and it's got all the instructions for PayPal, or you can also do Venmo, or you can send me a check in the mail. We're going to get you a date as a deadline. I don't know yet if it's going to be in October, at the end of October, or November. So I think maybe it might be that first week of November, but I've got to double check with a couple of people. And so there's a lot of moving parts and pieces that go with that. So anyways, very excited about taking another truckload though. So very excited. And so Rhonda, I see your question. You said, how do I get the Jace case discount? You can get that if you look in the Rumble description, or you can email me and I'll send you the instructions, honey. So my email, just in case you need it, is michelle@nashvillemichelle.com. I will tell you, I'm going to be working the rest of tonight on making sure that the fulfillment, it's just crazy. The Fulfillment Center for Godly Granny. Our fulfillment manager starts Monday full time. She's in training a couple of days this week, and then Monday full time. And it cannot come soon enough, let me just tell you. But many orders are going out tomorrow that were supposed to go out today, but didn't know today was Columbus Day until this morning. So Godly Granny has been very busy, and it is a good thing. And so, by the way, Flashmore has a whole setup at the Godly Granny Distribution Center, which, by the way, my family want to call it, they want to call it Granny's Shack. I'm like, I don't know about that. They said distribution center is too many syllables, Mama. And so they said, we want to call it the Granny Shack. I was like, okay. So this morning I asked a question about where something is, and they're like, oh, it's at the Granny Shack. And I'm like, okay, apparently this is really taking place here and going to be here to stay for a minute with my family at least. So it's so funny. Lots of great testimonials. We got an amazing one this weekend regarding the laundry detergent. I do want to tell you that if you got a laundry detergent and you think there's not a scooper in there, please, please, please double check. Sometimes in the shipping, what's happening is it's getting buried down. I will tell you, I've already put in for the scoop to have a longer handle. So that's coming, and that will take a minute. So if you get a couple of laundry detergents and you're like, the scoop's the same, it's because these things take a minute. And so I also want to tell you that I am approving the first shampoo and first conditioner labels today. And so I'm very excited about that. We've been through the different versions of it. And so it's very exciting. Very exciting. Lots coming on. We got shampoo and conditioner releasing in like 2 weeks. And so there's already a whole spot for shampoos and conditioners at the Granny Shack. And so that is so much easier to say than distribution center. So I don't know. But anyways, okay, I want to read this to you. I received this over the weekend, and it was just amazing. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's say, here it is. So it was written on October the 11th, 2025. I actually had it emailed to me from this viewer, I believe, but then also it was a review left on the website, and it has to do with the laundry detergent. So you can go to the website and see it as well. If you've been using the laundry detergent, we'd love to hear from you about it. You can always leave a review to help other viewers as well. But this is what they said. Godly Granny Laundry, wow. All caps with an exclamation point. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So I thought, wow, this is really a big deal, apparently. I'm loving the laundry detergent, and all the feedback has been amazing, but didn't know I was going to get so many wow. So I'm like, what's going on that I don't know? So they proceed to tell and said, so I was so excited to do my first Godly Granny wash today. By the way, y'all have been saying, I've never been so excited about doing a load of laundry. It just cracks me up. I just think it's so cute. And so anyway, so says, do my first load of laundry today. And I said, my sheets feel brand new. Wow. Just feels different. I know, clean. But when I pulled a pair of shorts I love, but didn't want to throw out because I had gotten hair dye all over them, wow, it was gone. Did I tell you we're working on a laundry booster? Now, don't write me next week. Want to know when it's coming out. It's going to be a minute. But I got plans, y'all. I got plans. And so God just gives them to me. And so says I didn't expect it, did not pre-soak or rubbing nothing on them. I was simply blown away. As I type this from bed, looking forward to an epic night's sleep. I have the eczema unscented because I am sometimes sensitive to these things. I used no dryer sheets. I love this because they're really helping the viewer or helping other customers. I used no dryer sheets, which you shouldn't be. Only dryer balls that they had. I am ordering Godly Granny dryer balls and oils soon. We've got them in stock at the Granny Shack. Could it actually get any better? Thank you, Michelle, Ron, and Eve. Isn't that amazing? Viewer Natalie says, I've been waiting for this release for a year. Woohoo. That's so great. I do want to let you know that the label I have insisted, and even the first version of the labels were not what I said. And I said, no, I want the words shampoo up the side and conditioner up the side. We are not going to reverse the colors because it's just not good. But I want you to know I'm very excited about how big shampoo and how big conditioner is on the bottles for the shampoos and conditioners. So that way, for those of you that cannot see well, will be able to see well without your contacts and your glasses. Let's see. I'm not older, just older too says, or I'm not old, just older too says, I think Granny Shack is a great name. The Granny's Shanty, Pierce mom says. I love it. Oh my word. Do y'all know what happened? So I'll tell you this. And I mean, it's crazy. So we were having problems with fulfillment. Everybody knows this. And orders were taking forever. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I wrote an international award-winning book on selling. It's called Selling Simplified, 55 Fast Tips to Jumpstart Your Real Estate Business. And it ended up earning an international award in business and finance books. In college, I was a computer science major, by the way. I taught myself computer code. Was all about computers from the time I was 10 on. So when I decided to get into real estate, everybody was like, thought I'd lost my mind. Everybody knew I was going to be a computer programmer, was working at a company, the whole thing, going to college, the whole thing. And so I decided that I was going to get into sales. I loved just the American dream, right? The place you call home, home sweet home. So I decided we just bought a home, and I thought, I loved the process, and I want to help other people, find the place they call home and raise their families and all that kind of stuff. And, so anyways, I'm very successful real estate agent, earned over 40 sales and leadership awards, ran Keller Williams Nashville. I've done some crazy things. And so within the real estate industry. And so really pretty much right out the gate. And so it's been kind of a crazy thing though, because you don't earn 40 sales and leadership awards, not like exceeding expectations. So I like to under promise and over deliver. I do it all the time. And so and strategically. And so it was so hard for me because we've not been filling these orders on a timely basis. And it seemed at first like it was just one thing after another that was just seemed like bad luck or bad timing. There were some things like an ingredient was short on deodorant. So, these orders are late on and we have an amazing team. So it was like, but this was this ongoing issue of orders not going out on a timely basis. Well, what has ended up coming out in the long run, and what was the first part of all of this coming out was the Holy Spirit. Remember I said earlier in the show, I could have written a whole book. I told producer Ron and my husband and a couple people over the last 3 weeks or so, I could write a whole book just on the last 3 weeks and how the Holy Spirit and God has really shown up. And I have just been obedient. And the craziest things have happened. It's just all worked out. And it's been working out like crazy great. And so, not like, okay, yeah, well, it's going to be really expensive for rent. No, it's crazy great rent. It's just so crazy. So, anyways, and so it's just been one thing after the other that has worked out great. And every day, the Holy Spirit started out with showing me more and more details of issues that we've had that are now going to be fixed by making this change. But what happened was this was not even on the radar. Doing the Granny Shack and taking over distribution was absolutely the last thing I would have ever thought that I would be doing, period. So I had, had shipping issues and this issue and that thing and all these other things. And so, again, don't want anybody upset with anybody. Manufacturing have done an amazing job and they have gotten us to where we are. But what happened, come to find out, is that all of this, when I got the download from the Holy Spirit about taking over it, saying this is enough, and it's my company, by the way. So just so you know, so we can do what I want to do. And so, so with producer Ron, and so I heard the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit told me who to hire in that conversation after hearing to take over the distribution, and that obviously I was like, I knew immediately what I'd heard. I knew that it was the Holy Spirit, and it had not even been a thought. And now all of a sudden, this is my download, clear as day. So I make a phone call, and one thing leads to another. I've hired the person that the Holy Spirit showed me to hire, and all of that has worked out amazingly. But anyways, and then it was just one thing after another. It is crazy. We'll probably do a longer show about this, but all I can say to you is that, again, obedience is greater than sacrifice. God has shown up. Even Ron got a word, and he said, Michelle, God, I really feel like God is showing me that the right people are going to show up and be there for us at the right times. And that's exactly what's happened. It's been the craziest things for different skill sets and different things we needed. And just people will show up. It's been amazing. It has been absolutely amazing. My kids, my husband, I say kids, my sons are 20 and 21. They're 6 foot and 6'1". So, but they have been helping amazingly, my assistant, and then now the Granny Shack supervisor. So it has been absolutely amazing. I can tell you, I know without a shadow of a doubt that there is going to be quicker fulfillment. And it just frees up so much stuff. It is going to be good. But right now, the transition time, first of all, is taking way longer than I thought it would. But also, it's been accelerated. There were some things that happened last week that accelerated everything. And I flipped the switch instead of at the end of the month. It was like, this is stopping, and it's stopping right now. And this is what we're going to do. And so I just knew that I knew. And so all weekend, we were making that transition. There's been a lot of driving. There's been a lot of stuff, a lot of expense, a lot of stuff going on. And so that if I'm not doing a show for 3 whole days, you all know how much I miss you when I don't do that. And so it's got to be for really, really good reasons. And I can tell you, I am falling into bed every night with just about every bone in my body aching. But we are going to make sure that this is done, and it is done with excellence, and it is done right. And right isn't excellence. Right is just right, but I want excellence. And so I'm already getting emails from viewers or from customers of Godly Granny saying, thank you for the change. I already got my order. So look, it's amazing. We're just now stocking the shelves and all that kind of stuff of what is going on. So I just want you to know that it may be a minute still, but we are working feverishly, all of us, because we've already painted, we've already done the floor, we're doing flooring, it's a ton of work just to get the space up and running. And I thought I had a month. And then last week, some things happened that I just said, this is stopping right now. And you're going to pack everything up, and I'm in charge from now on. And so this is how this is going to go. But what has happened is it led to some conversations to where it came out the day I've ever experienced this. I only know what I know. Producer Ron only knows what he knows. We're looking to people that have been doing this for 10 years with our formulator and everything. And so we, in our mission, and by the way, we do things differently because it has to be clean. And so this is a whole different thing in a lot of ways. And so, but what happened is it came out that they said, we were really caught unaware. We didn't know you were going to do this much business. And so fulfilling and doing this and that. And long story short, it's just so much. They cannot do what they had thought they could do. And they kept not coming forward and telling me that. And so, yeah, I can only be patient so much. And you guys, I just have to say, I have the best viewers, the best customers, the best for Godly Granny. We are doing amazing things, but you guys have been so gracious. The Godly Granny customers have been so patient. There are no words. That's all I can say. No words for what, but I want you to know that I am working to get past that so that we can focus on all. And I said, let's focus on getting even better products and new products and different things that people want, that they're asking for. And, and so we're going to focus on those things as well. And I can walk into the Granny Shack at any time and see to it that things are happening. I was completely hands off, really. And so that's the way it is. And so we have taken over control of all of that and flipped the switch and said, there's not even going to be a transition period. This is over. And so enough's enough. And I received apologies yesterday, and it's all good. It's all great. And I have had grace and mercy in this situation. But at some point, enough is enough. And, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome? Well, the insanity wasn't going to happen here, honey. And so, but I heard the Holy Spirit, and that's what it took. And then things started unraveling. Even the Holy Spirit started showing me things. So Charisse says, you got this, Michelle. I know it's got to be frustrating knowing people haven't gotten their product, but we are okay with the waiting. And I appreciate that. We want to make sure that everything's amazing when you get it, but enough of this. When I have literally sat in such frustration when someone orders a 4-ounce jar of Terminator pain cream and they don't get it for a month. Like, you got to make the insanity stop. And so that's what's happened. We've stopped the insanity, and it's going to get better. I promise you. It's not going to be perfect. We're still stocking and building up, and orders are in, and my order is in for the products, and we only do things in small batch. So it's a whole thing, but I promise you, we are on it, and like never before, and very involved. So I wanted to explain that because I think that's important, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do that today or not, but okay. So I will see you Friday. And I'm sure we'll talk more about it at some point. I hope that you enjoyed today's show. Love my time with Lieutenant Mark Taylor. And I love my time with you guys. See you Friday right here next time live on The Michelle Moore Show.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason. Because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense. But without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven. And when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry, both nationally and regionally, by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
For Michelle's social media links, go to michellemooreshow.com.